but everything's cropped, so I guess I'm kind of ready. Wow, here we go. Okay, let's get started. So, TAS is on 1221, if you didn't already know. And the menuing's pretty quick. It's done on a save that already has brightness and scale and all that. But no Steel Soul, so we're going to be unlocking Steel Soul. This is not pre-recorded, the commentary, but the run is. Okay, so King's Pass. Here's the first FPS dependent thing. You can't pause the timers quickly if you're on less than 200 FPS. Fun fact. So if you're under 200 FPS, like you lose 0.1, unless like you drop a frame or something. So that's fun. And then you lose another 0.1 here on pausing. Something actually really interesting about this inventory drop that isn't talked about for RTA. There's actually a wall you bump into if you keep holding right the entire time. And so it's actually better to inventory before you hit that wall, because you can't move right while you're like sliding on that wall. And so it's just ever so slightly faster to not do it instantly. So you're going to see TAS do these like mini hops here in KP for no reason, like that one right there. That's me jumping over the other tick-tick spawn, because I had to test some other things and I never took these jumps out. So TAS is jumping over the imaginary other tick-tick. It's not faster to instantly inventory drop because the goal is to go right. And the hard fall, you can't cancel the inventory any earlier because the hard fall. I tested. And so you obviously see these nail turnarounds. Each nail turnaround saves 0.0, not 0.00, 0.04. So it's 2 physics frames per nail turnaround. It seems that they might be possible to do on current patch RTA. I need to do some testing, but on 1221, they're definitely not. So we're going to go ahead and keep going. This is actually super interesting. I don't know how this occurred. I think it has to do with the fact that I pause unpause faster than Zippy and Coover because I do variable frame rate. But they end up being able to land on this platform without pogoing this and get this nail turnaround, but I have to pogo this object to land soon enough. It's super weird. It makes no sense. And then I just mysteriously lose 0.2 here and 0.02, and I really don't understand why, but it happens. Here we change the FPS again. We don't actually really do this very often. It's just like probably 4 or 5 spots. But we change it again to get this Vengefly to move faster. Because the Vengefly itself speed isn't faster at higher FPS. The normal ones aren't. It's the aggro time that changes. Which is like a common misconception. And so we... another actually thing that happens here that I want to talk about, I know I'm pausing a lot, is we actually, oh wait, we turn before we pogo, and I'll explain this because it happens a couple other times. But the reason we're turning here, there's actually so many things that come together here. First of all, the pogo hitbox and the upslash hitbox are asymmetrical. And same with like the slashes. They're not mirrored. So the behind portion of the pogo is actually further out, but not quite as low. Another thing is that turnarounds actually allow you to not gain as much height or fall slower. It changes your fall / jump speed, your vertical velocity. And so we actually used it a little bit earlier to land on these platforms faster, but we're using it here as like a form of air stall in addition to pogoing. So that's super cool. And the audio just died there for no reason. But yeah, we pogo up and we get all those nice little jumps. That nail slash you can do RTA and it does save time. The other ones that you see people do RTA don't. This is the only one you should do. RNG softball is FPS dependent. And and it's also subpixel dependent, but it didn't appear to be dependent on the RNG generator. So that's something to note. We did try to actually skip this floor with just like jumps and perfectly timed everything. It's not skippable. You can do it with airwalk. For whatever reason, you can get airwalk off this breaking and then jump out of the airwalk, but you just can't quite make it without pogoing Vengefly. It's not worth. I am indeed uploading this commentary. Oh, here's a really cool jump. This is one of the few jumps in the game that lines up this way. But you can actually see that we land instantly here. And this is one of the only spots in the game where you don't have to do any wiggles or anything to land faster. It just works. If you jump from this spot, you just instantly land. It makes no sense, but if you do this, like, you know, it's obviously faster. But the next one we have to do wiggles for. As I'll show you what the wiggles look like slowed down, but you can actually see that we wiggle before landing, and that's how TAS is able to go so much faster than RTA and King's Pass. It's not just the nail turnarounds, like those add up, and not just the RNG softball. It's these little wiggles on all these jumps save so much time, because every like frame that you're going above, like you also have to like go back down and land, and these perfect jumps just save a ton of time. This nail turnaround, I see people do. It's not worth. Don't go for it. Even the old TAS loses time here. Here's another phenomenon, actually, that's kind of cool. So you can slash walls, not enemies. It has to be walls or planks or something without taking any recoil. And a lot of people in the community have referred to this as trinomying a door or something, like a verb after the runner Trinomy, who did a lot of strats with like trinomy planks and stuff like that. But this door, when you break it, automatically enters you into the load zone, so you can actually break it from back here, losing no time. It doesn't matter how close you are to the door, so you can pogo, side slash, up slash, whatever. It doesn't matter. And so we get out of King's Pass at 49.28. This is 0.11 faster than the one that Zippy and Cuber posted a bit ago. Most of that is from variable frame rate, and then some of that was to skipping one of the nail turnarounds they did that lost time. But yeah, most of that was variable frame rate. I haven't seen their latest version because they're very secretive and they don't talk about what they're doing with the Isma's route. But they said they saved time, so I'm assuming they probably got around here. And then you get that nail turnaround. Jumping in Dirtmouth, there's nothing special. There's about a 2 to 3 frame window where you can do it without any buffers, and the buffer window itself is actually quite large. So nothing special other than skipping Elderbug. So it is actually faster to do all 3 nail turnarounds on these steps and pre-jump into here with a less pre-jump than to do 2 and do a big pre-jump into the well. Like the size of your pre-jump here isn't as important as getting this nail turnaround. Another thing that's really interesting and is demonstrated here, kind of, is that when you do a nail turnaround, you're spending 1 frame going left. But if you line up perfectly, and this only works if the game lets you with the positioning of the platforms, if you can line up so that way that frame that you're walking the wrong direction lands you into a wall and stops you early, you save even more time. And so potentially you can save up to 0.06 if everything lines up perfect, but it's not worth going out of your way to line it up, if that makes sense. Now, here's something TAS does that's very different than RTA, which is getting pause control in the well. If you pause unpause in this well, it's known that you can get control here. And it's not worth to do on the first trip for humans, but for TAS, it's worth to pause, unpause, nail, and inventory to cancel the hard fall. It saves a few frames. I'm talking like 0.1 time save. And so it's not worth RTA, but it's pretty cool. So you get all those nail turnarounds. Now, middle drop is faster here. You do have to like wait a bit here, but being able to just drop straight into the transition is faster. So that's pretty cool. And then it's also faster to wait to inventory there, like I did, because you get to keep the nail recoil speed. It's still lasting there. And so that's why I wait before inventorying, because you actually get to get a better inventory. So it's pretty cool. And then here you can't inventory drop optimally, just because you need to open inventory pretty much immediately, but the game gives you something called transition storage or inventory storage, where basically how it works is transitions give you control when you hit the ground and gives you control after a certain timer. It works on both. With horizontal, it's a timer. With upwards, it's when you hit the ground, but with downwards, it's both. And so what happens is you get control when you hit that platform, and then you open up inventory, and then the timer goes off and gives you control again, which is banned in NMG. So we can't use it. And because we have to wait for that timer, it's just not worth the inventory right there. And then we don't get a nail turnaround here because it doesn't matter. This platform is positioned really bad. And so if you turn around a nail here, that whole thing with losing fall speed happens. And so it's actually slower. Now here's Aspen Arena. Aspen Arena is a really fun one. Yeah, you can pre-jump that. If you do a minimum height pre-jump, you won't hardfall. And it saves time. If you do anything more than a minimum height pre-jump, you will hardfall, and it loses a lot of time. So you just really need to tap the button. So Aspen Arena, there's a lot of different things and like ways to do this, but for RTA, the fastest 99% of the time is actually going to be to land down here and up slash. TAS does pogos only because TAS can specifically manipulate the height of each pogo to bonk in the platform, so that way you don't have to wait on any pogos, just like this. And then this also lines up all the geo. I accidentally hit to the very beginning. Oops. Okay. So yeah, once again, pogos here. And then we're actually going to do a bit of RNG manip that looks like swag, but it's to get the aspids to spawn faster. Each aspid has an RNG delay of up to 0.45 seconds later. So you kill the aspid, a timer goes, and then they start spawning. And how long the animation takes is RNG. And so we're doing RNG manip while we're collecting this geo in order to get to spawn. So up slash and the nail boost and all that's just RNG. And then I opted to not get the geo here because both these nail turnarounds is 0.08, which I determined was the threshold where it was worth for me to not pick up the geo. Later in the run, you'll see me lose about 0.2, 0.4 some spots to pick up a piece of geo. So we skip all that. We get 10, which is, it's fine. Now, something interesting is that there's no lag for TAS on pogoing or hitting metal objects like there can be for RTA, because it's not actually setting the timescale to 0. There's the game freezing because the game says, okay, it's time to pause and freeze the game. And then there's the game freezing because it's laggy and bad. And so you'll see some other spots where the game just doesn't freeze for TAS. So here's something that is known to a lot of people, but is missed by some. This Vengefly likes to kill itself on these gomes. It's a very common occurrence, and so you really want to be trying to like get as high as you can to try and keep it up. And so you'll see I'm doing these like little hops when I can't nail turn around to keep it high. And then right at the end, I actually jump here, and this jump is what prevents that Vengefly from suiciding. It saves way more time than it should. It saves like 0.09, I believe, 0.09, to not have that Vengefly suicide. So it's significant. You should make sure that you're doing it. And then here you get that one nail turnaround, and you get up here. You can't quite get two because the geometry is really bad. So here's the infamous tick-tick pogo where you skip statue pogo. I really like it a lot. In fact, this movement into this room looks really good at full speed. And so you get all those nice little wiggles to line up the jumps, and it goes straight up. Lines up really nice. Okay, here is really fun. I like doing the nail turnaround on this enemy. So nail recoil, even though it has less range off of a wall, it's the same speed off a wall or enemy. It's the same number. Sorry, I have to drink water because I'm gonna be talking for a bit. So I actually spent, I think, like 20 minutes trying to nail boost off these. They're just high enough where you can do it with like a curse pogo and stuff, but then you just bonk here and it's really sad. This section's really fun, just doing the turnarounds on these arches. For whatever reason, I spent, I don't even know how long. If you spawn this enemy to the right, False Knight just simply would not jump left for me. No matter what I did, False Knight would just always jump right. It just made no sense. I spent probably like 40 or so minutes just trying to get this to work. And I just decided it wasn't worth for the 0.04 time save. But yeah, I missed it. Very sad. So you actually have to do a side slash here to get all of your nail slashes in, because otherwise you bonk and you just barely miss it by a few frames. And so we actually nail boost off of False Knight to get to the Geo. Pretty cool. Okay, here's a strat you can do RTA that's very hard to do. But what we're going to do is we're actually going to line up our subpixels to land on the seam between the gate and the wall. And then you can break the wall and get a better pre-jump than you can with just the full height jump here. So I'll show it off. And so yeah, you're just standing on the seam. And just as long as you walk into the wall, side slash, you'll land on here. But it's not very... it's not very easy to do RTA, but you could do it. And then this inventory drop is faster if you did that pre-jump, because you don't have enough time to pre-jump to here. I do my best to do torch game, but it's not very easy with the nail turnaround there, so unfortunate. This wall is just slightly too high to nail boost. So you'll notice this is a lag-free Vengeful Spirit pickup. It looks kind of nice. Wish they could have implemented that in the game. So something actually super interesting. I'll explain now, because it's going to come up later. Enemies in this game on 1221 have two types of RNG. They have a random spawn point sometimes, and then when they're activated, they can go random directions. This husk activates when you pass this point. And then they can choose to go left or right. So they're not actually active quite yet. And so you can actually do, like, a mini hop right here, if you do a mini hop here, you can change the RNG just barely in time if you needed to. And the reason you want the husk on the left is not only to nail boost off of it, but for trinomi planks, which is that whole nail not giving recoil thing. You can do this RTA. It's pretty free time save. Okay, now here is something pretty cool. You gotta head to bed. Yeah, good luck. The lag is... yeah, the lag is universal for spell pickups. They are nicer on CP. Let me explain. So, CP Nail has different recoil ranges and different recoil speeds as the 1221 Nail. It's different. And so I think that nail turnarounds are actually potentially viable on CP because I think the hitbox actually comes out faster. But I need to do more testing. But nail turnarounds might actually be possible to save time with on CP for humans compared to being just blatantly impossible on 1221. Now, something that causes a lot of people to cap their FPS in the game is this one balder right here. The higher your FPS, the faster this lands on your head because game logic. However, you can actually just jump over this balder. Just like that. So if you want to run at 800 FPS on your NASA supercomputer to help speed up your Vengeful Spirit pickup, you can just jump over. Okay, so here's my personal least favorite part of the run. This Vengefly skip. It just barely saves time, and it takes forever to set up, because you have to wait for the fly. It's different than the one you do RTA, because you pogo straight to this platform. It just barely saves time. It's not fun, and it takes forever for the Vengefly to get over there. Okay, so the balder. Something that's asked by people who know different strats, and it's even, the strat's even on the old any% text guide on speedrun.com, is the zero spit balder kill. It's not faster, actually, than just killing the balder with the spit. Because you can nail cancel this balder spit. You can side slash the balder, fireball, and then nail cancel again. And those two nail cancels make the zero spit balder slower. Is that Vengefly skip RTA viable? No. It's very precise. And only saves time with a good Vengefly spawn. Okay, now here's a really interesting room. I like this room a lot. But something really interesting is by using those turnarounds, you can actually land on these platforms pretty far and then coyote frame. It's super cool. So it looks like wall jumps. I potentially could have saved some time there with just slightly better RNG, but I couldn't get the Gruzzers to behave. How long? It took me about 2 weeks, 18,000 save states loaded, and probably more time than I should have spent on it in 2 weeks. I'll put it that way. Basically, it was, I wake up, I eat food, I do work, I come home, I watch videos, and I TAS, essentially, or stream. Why does it look like I have claw? Because those wiggle jumps are landing so fast it looks like I'm wall jumping. That's why. I don't actually have claw. I'm just jumping so fast it looks like I'm wall jumping. You can actually see the particle effects aren't there for claws, so. So here, this is actually the closest you can fireball the balder, and you can actually jump fireball like pretty high and land on this platform, which is a lot better than falling straight down and jumping up like most people do. Saves a good amount of time. I tried my hardest to nail boost off these, but the hitboxes are really bad. And that's just the fireball skip. I like this room a lot. This one's also really good. So TAS has to get a lot less soul in green path, which makes these rooms a lot faster. So in that room, I believe I saved a half a second to nail turnarounds. If I remember correctly, I do 12, which is a half a second. Which is kind of insane. That nail turnarounds save a half second in that room, but they do. We don't get birds because freeze frames. Now, most any percent runners in this situation are very upset because one fireball is difficult, but for TAS it's pretty free. It's a decently large window to one fireball. In total, between the jump, the turnaround, the fireball, and everything, it was like, I think, a total of 10 frames of leniency between all the inputs. Which sounds like a lot. It's not as much as you would think, but for TAS, that's like disgustingly large. So I get this question. Wouldn't it be faster to upslash the Moss Charger for TAS? And the answer is no. The reason it's not faster is we want to kill like the Moss Charger. We want to hit it at a specific range because we already have to wait. We're losing time anyway to killing this Moss Charger, but it's good because we can get all the Geo and a bunch of soul, right? Now, this is possible without any fireballs if you nail boost off this Mosskin. And the reason it doesn't work if you nail boost off this platform is quite simple. And it has to do with the fact that when you nail boost off this Mosskin from right here, you don't have to deal with the frame of turning right because you're already just nail boosting, right? So your right frame where you turn right is already gone. And so you get a lot more distance. So even TAS can't do this without a fireball. TAS still gets the nail boost though, but you still have to fireball. Arbitrary code execution? No, I don't think arbitrary code execution is possible. The way that Team Cherry coded was with visual scripting and FSMs, which don't lend themselves to arbitrary. Okay, so in this room, you could get 2 nail turnarounds, but it breaks the Moss Knight AI. We want the Moss Knight to jump backwards, and there's a specific timer that starts from when you load the room, and so we don't do any nail turnarounds. Because jumping breaks the AI, and also being there faster doesn't matter. So TAS actually waits to fireball here. TAS could have fireballed like 2 years, but it has to wait for the Moss Knight to get far enough away. It's very cursed. Another thing about current patch Moss Knights is that they actually start their hitboxes over here because they're always permanently in the lunge animation. We're not sure when they patch that in, but they're always permanently in the lunge damaging hitbox. So this fly is like really just annoying, and we only get this hit because it saves time in Hornet. To have the exact amount of soul we need. And so that's the only reason why we don't do a nail boost or anything. Okay, so for Vengefly King, there's a pretty standard rotation that everyone does RTA, which is you nail Fireball, and then... Shoot, what is it? Oh, well, I don't even remember which one we do RTA. All I know is the TAS one's different. Oh yeah, it's nail fireball, fireball, nail fireball RTA, but TAS does nail fireball, nail fireball, fireball. And it's not any faster, it just like it just works. And so that's why TAS does it. It just looks cooler. So don't read into it. And then you get the nail boost right there. And doing these 2 pogos on the Moss Knight, don't do that RTA. Don't do this. This is very scary and risky. It loses I think you were able to get a nail. I don't remember if you could get a nail turn around here, but it loses a tiny bit of time, but the 2 hits of soul like really add up here. So we get the Geo. Now we need to talk about Hornet. Hornet's really complicated. Kind of. So Hornet has 225 HP. Okay, 225. And because she has that number of HP, it means that it lines up very perfectly to just fight her with 3 hits of soul, enough for 1 fireball if you don't get any doubles. Now RTA, you end up coming in with 6 hits of soul here. And normally you could you could dialogue skip that extra fireball. And like, the reason RTA doesn't do that is because they go for doubles. Because Hornet, if they jump across the arena, the best like solution is to double her. TAS, she doesn't get to do that. Now, optimally, she should just needle throw over and over again. However, I could not get her to do that. And so we're going to lose a bit of time here to not getting needle throws, because the RNG for a needle throw was actually quite low. And so the reason that it's optimal for all needle throws for TAS is because her stagger count resets. And so she never staggers, and so she never goes through the stagger freeze frames, which lose quite a bit of time for TAS. And so my Hornet fight here is not the optimal perfect one, but it only loses time to stagger freeze frames. Everything else is optimal DPS. So I'll explain how it works here. So we dialogue skip because we're not going to be getting any doubles, and so we would be just wasting soul. If you end the fight with soul, you quit out, you just lose it. So we dialogue skip here. And this dialogue skip is worth compared to doing other movement strats. Her jumping away after a stagger is very slow, so we'll show what we do. So we upslash nail fireball. That's the standard any percent opening. But we kind of just keep her in the corner here. So you'll notice that she just didn't jump. Like, she jumped and then just went straight back down. And the reason is because TAS knocks her into the seam of the gate and the wall. This is where we stood in the False Knight Arena. If you knock her into there, she clips into that seam temporarily, and the game says that she's bonked. And so the game thinks she's bonked all the way up here, and so she lands. And so we just do that over and over again. And so Hornet never gets the move. So I got 2 needle throws, but the second one didn't stop a stagger, so it slightly suboptimal by like a quarter of a second. The other thing to keep in mind is that this technically can cause floor nip RTA. In fact, I can't even confirm that it doesn't cause floor nip here. Because the floor nip, it looked like it did it from the hitboxes, but because Hornet never actually does any attack, I can't actually confirm. The game audio is off. Let me see. Is it still off? It's good. Probably just refresh then. Twitch can do that with low latency. Yeah, I'd refresh and see if it gets better. Okay, so we quit out here. And now this is this split where RTA is the closest to TAS. This is like the Mantis Claw split is, in terms of comparing to TAS, the most optimized split in any percent. So every strat you're going to see here is pretty much the same. And the reason for that, for people who are wondering, is because we can't nail turn around anymore because we have dash. So there's only a couple spots where it's worth. We're going downwards, which means we can't do the perfect TAS jumps that RTA can do. I mean, that RTA can't do, like the little wiggles. And we don't have claws, so we can't do wall cling storage. And so those three factors, the fact that we don't have anything, means that we're pretty much on a level playing field with RTA. So we only save a couple seconds in the split. We save more time on every other split in the run. Like over 4 seconds on each split. And so this split is like the closest that humanity has to TAS. So that nail turnaround is only slightly faster because you have to spend a frame turning and not jumping. And so it only saves a single physics frame. So at this point, we've only saved one physics frame to just possible movement. This was all just me. Yeah, this was all me on this project. I definitely took inspiration from people who had done stuff. Like Kalei's Umu one shot was an inspiration. I got a lot of talking to Zippy and Cuber, but in terms of who contributed to the inputs, it's all been me. And so, because it's all me, there have been mistakes. So this isn't close to perfect. You'll see that I actually just do something really dumb at one point that should be removed, but I don't have the mental energy to remove it. So that's just standard bread and butter any percent movement. This drop, it's actually faster to dash inventory compared to what RTA does. RTA waits, dashes, and then inventories. And then you want to fall as low as possible on this inventory. It's faster than spreading it out, if that makes sense. And then we do these two nail turnarounds, which saves a bit of time. Once again, the same paradox where because we're turning, we're not falling as fast happens, so it doesn't save as much time. And then it's fast. TAS can dash off this platform a lot earlier than RTA can because we can do this nail turnaround right here because it doubles this air stall and the turnaround, and so it saves a tiny bit of time. And then we weave in between the platforms. And then this is the one nail turnaround that RTA like does that saves a bit of time. The static slash for people. So you nail turnaround here, and then the boost lands you, and so you can actually go straight through here. 2 dashes faster there. So I'll explain why the 2 dashes is faster. Inventory resets your fall speed, right? And so if I'm going to inventory drop somewhere, it doesn't matter how fast I'm falling. Like, it just doesn't matter. And so the reason that dashing is just faster is because it's about getting to the spot to open inventory as fast as possible. Because inventory resets all of your speed to 0. And so it's kind of like, it's almost like a mini transition for the room, is how I would describe it. So it doesn't matter what you do to get there, because once you get there, like, you lose wall cling storage, you lose all of your horizontal speed, and you lose all your vertical speed. And so just, you get to the inventory drop as fast as possible, and you do it. So that's why it's faster. And then here, it doesn't really matter how you space your jumps or anything. Just, like, you're only going to be able to do 2 dashes here, just as long as you land on the corner of this platform to get as much out of this second dash. Because if you land late, you still get 2 dashes, but this dash doesn't go as long, if that makes sense. You can do this movement RTA where you get this like wall boost and you land here, but it's very cursed and like you can hit this geometry. And then that hit loses a tiny bit of time, but it ends up being faster because of the E-Pogo we do. This is the one room in the game where TAS ties. Like, there's literally nothing that TAS does here at all whatsoever that is faster than humans. Humans get the exact same time in and out of this room because all the dashes are bufferable, except for the first one. So as long as you get a frame perfect first dash, you end up getting the same time through here. You can underplat this mushroom pretty easily, as long as you buffer everything. Now, this is actually... Alright, I went too far. Doing that jump there is pretty cool. So if you time everything just right, dashing off cooldown, you'll be able to like jump off this platform. And then a land pogo like that, it just so that way it lines up this pre-jump the best without hard falling. And then you do a couple nail turnarounds here. And then it's faster to instantly open inventory after dashing once you clear this platform, cancel, and then move. As opposed to dashing, falling under the mushroom, and then inventorying. Another benefit is, like, obviously you have your dash right here and it all lines up really nice. But this room is really hard to replicate for RTA, but you can do it, pretty much. Besides the nail turnarounds. So here, you actually can get that up slash on that enemy if you take a little bit of time to do it with this spawn. If you just wait just a tiny bit, you can get this up slash, and this is really good if you're going to be doing the fireball E-Pogo. But we're going to go ahead and up slash this twice, and then this is the fireball E-Pogo that Fireborn discovered that Pest does and runs. This is the fastest E-Pogo. It's faster than Murray Pogo as long, keyword, as long as you're not losing time to Soul Collection. So when you do the upper route that Pest does, it's super negligible time save. But when you go in the upper route on the room to farm Soul. And so what this means here is that it's a lot faster if you get good RNG in the next room, or if you're willing to do a very risky strat in Mantis Pogo room. So you'll see that here in a second. So we actually up slash and dash under this enemy, which is very hard to do. Like Valley was saying that they never got it, but everything needs to be timed really well to get underneath. And then this is actually a time save that Axe found. When I originally posted the vid, I dashed and then fell into here, but it's faster to land all the way, dash, and inventory. So, shoutouts to Axe for finding that. It saved 0.6. I mean, not 0.6, 0.06. So here's the risky Soul Collection strat. Don't do this RTA. But we're going to side slash this Mantis and use the momentum to get to this corner in time, so we don't lose any time. And then we dash here. And then RTA shoots a fireball here, but we don't have enough soul. So we're going to jump, side slash, and dash while we're waiting for the cooldown. And this will let us hit the lever, and then we can nail cancel off the lever and fireball. And then we land to pick up all the geo. And then this lines up the mantises for us to do double dash. Now, here's an interesting property that applies to most flying enemies in the game. Oh, you need to see all that again? Yeah, I can show it full speed. So here's the strat we do. I actually do something very similar in low percent. Where if this enemy doesn't back up, I jump over and nail cancel off the lever, but it's not quite as swaggy. It saves pretty minimal time save, But it's really, really in particular why that Fireball E-Pogo is just so much more time saved for tasks, because we don't have to lose any time to soul collection. Now, in general, it's fast. Like for RTA, it's going to be fastest to do the normal strat and then go over. However, the commonly, or not commonly, but the referred to Zalient Mantis is not actually faster, even though you don't kill this Mantis. It's not any faster to do Zalient Mantis. So I would not recommend learning or considering learning the strat over Double Dash, especially since it is RNG. Double Dash was just the fastest that I found. And yeah, and in Slush Geo, the 12 Geo just matters so much. It's TAS ends up with 2 more Geo than it needs, but it was really scary there for a bit. So, a property of flying mantises. So, you might have seen Zippy and Cuber's post in the strat channel about the fastest path for the mantis. It's not actually the fastest path, because it doesn't matter if a mantis is moving left or right, they will move up, down at the same speed. So, it's not... Their speed is not positioned like diagonally, like a diagonal speed isn't the same as up, down. So, if that makes any sense. So if the mantis is moving left, right, it doesn't matter. And so you can do this like dash into the wall RTA, and it's just as good. Now we're going to be doing something that you should not do RTA here, which is we go really early. Yeah, exactly. Square instead of circle. But this mantis has a 1 in 3 chance to hit me here. 2 out of 3 times, it just won't hit me. Now, the reason why it's faster to do it right there is because we've already gotten the save icon, and we can already quit out. So the second that the game stops freezing, we just quit out. And we have Claw. It saves a significant amount of time, RTA, but it's RNG, and if you mess it up, you just lose so hard. So I would not recommend doing it. So here's where the fun begins. For people who have not seen any of the videos for TAS, any of the segmented videos I posted on YouTube, we're going to be doing a glitch called wall cling storage. Wall cling storage RTA is just the standard wall cling sound. It looks kind of glitchy, looks kind of cool. For TAS, it's very different. You're going to be hearing potentially uncomfortable, potentially satisfying noises. This is from TAS letting go and re-grabbing the wall at a rapid rate. TAS also holds the left and the right key at the same time on physics frames, and by holding both left and right, you actually slide on the wall at full dash speed, which is slightly faster for humans to do, but because TAS is going to be doing this the entire run, like we stop doing wall cling storage once we get past Beast Den. There's no more wall cling storage after Beast Den. But all the way up until Beast Den, we're going to be doing wall cling storage. So be forewarned. So this is this type of wall cling storage is called cling storage or recling storage or whatever you want to call it. It's actually been obsoleted. The any percent Isma's route is actually in progress right now by Zippy and Cuber. So they're pretty cool beans, and they started on theirs before me, but I spent a lot more time, and also it's only just me, so it makes it a little easier to sync. Anyways, cling storage is you grab the wall, you let go of the wall, and then you hold back into the wall, and the game lets you grab the wall again before you're actually on it. And then you keep going. The reason this works is because of the game's position interpolation system, I guess I would describe it, where the game lands you or puts you in a spot earlier than you're supposed to be. And this broken interpolation system is why you can clip enemies out of bounds by knocking them into the wall on certain patches and all sorts of things. And it's why on current patch, the game just shoves you out. It was discovered mostly by Crythom, with like a suggestion from me that you can just do this without clinging the wall at all by just wiggling next to it. However, I didn't remember this existing until Crystal Peaks. And by remember, I mean I discovered it again because I'd forgotten it existed. And at that point, it was already too late. I was in Crystal Peaks. So it's never used in the run. So in the run, all we use is Cling storage. And this means that we do it in slightly less places than we would do with the new one. And also we lose time on it. 0.1 if we're going down, and more if we're going up and then down. So this task could be a lot faster with just the new wall cling storage strat, but it requires changing the RNG. So I'll explain how RNG manip works in a second here, but here's the wall cling storage. So something that you might notice if you're a very astute and observant and know a bit about wall cling storage. So we're grabbing right wall right here. This is a right-facing wall, and we're clinging to the right. As you can see, we're actually grabbing a right wall right here. Now, if anyone has tried to dash to the right while holding a right wall, you'll know you just dash left when you're holding right here. The way we actually accomplish this is if you let go of both left and right, you have to be holding both left and right, but if you let go on a non-physics frame, you actually face the other direction. And that mechanic is what we're actually abusing to get those wiggles that you're seeing right here. So if I go frame by frame, we get the wall cling storage. And then we grab the wall and we let go, and every frame are facing the other direction. And so this is occurring on graphics frames where I'm letting go and not physics frames. And so that's how tasks can control what direction they're facing. Here it's very slow to get this hit. It's about a half a second slower to stop the wall cling storage to get the hit. Now this is a common question. How do I not get recoil on this Vengefly? It is because I cannot get recoil while I'm in this wall jump. You can wall jump out of wall cling storage, and this wall jump locks you into this direction. So I have no recoil when hitting this Vengefly. It's not because I'm at max range. A max range hit will still give you recoil. So just want to make that clear. And it's faster to cancel the wall cling storage there and wall jump out because it's really awkward trying to chain from there. Here we have to wait a bit to go onto this platform. You have to be careful not to actually hit this wall. We brush up against it, but we don't hit it. You'll notice that we're wall jumping at the end of wall cling storage, and that's because wall jumps are actually faster than walking speed. A wall jump starts at 16 velocity, which is just slightly under a dash. So they're very fast. You'll notice that tiny little turnaround maybe, and that turnaround was to land on this platform faster to land up here. That's a nail turnaround that's actually optimal. Because you can only get one dash into this transition, and so it's better to wait for the dash, get the nail, turn around, and then dash. Here it was slower to get wall cling storage, so this is one of the few rooms where we don't get it. And then we get that nail turn around, which lets us dash a little bit earlier, which is just very slightly faster. Now, you're not going to get to see any of the movement here, but I'm going to explain it. We inventory drop. We fall down, we get wall cling storage off a platform with cling, and then we zoom. So that was cling again, and as you can see, you can just chain this wall cling storage for years. And this is what's going to save so much time for tasks, is this wall cling storage. So, this is the optimal Gruzzer pattern. You want Gruzmom to go to the right and down into a corner. Now, I'm going to talk about RNG manipulation here. You're going to notice I'm opening my inventory. And you're hearing maybe like a buzzing noise. So, it's going to happen again. Now, what that is that's me spamming left and right in the, and like up and down really fast. Because whenever you perform an action, not an input, an action in Hollow Knight, the RNG seed will change. The RNG seed is this number that tells the game, okay, you're going to do this action based on like a hash of the RNG seed. Each action has its own different variable for it, etc., etc. But by randomly spamming in our menu, we actually advance the seed really fast. It's the fastest way that you can advance the RNG seed, is with inventory open. Now, this is really good during inventory drops and places where you're waiting on cutscenes and stuff. But obviously, you can't just sit in the middle of a boss fight and manipulate RNG, or stop moving in a room and change RNG. So, basically, any time that you're allowed to open inventory to do RNG manip, you're very grateful, because RNG manip without inventory is very, very bad. And shoutouts to Callist for figuring this out, because I would not have had the brain capacity to figure out to open inventory for RNG manip. So this one fireball setup is actually not that much faster. So I'll show it again. You have to wait for the Gruzzers to fall down. It is not possible for the Gruzzers to start spawn in a one fireball position with any level of like consistency without any moving. Just because of how the spawn AI works, it requires like a frame drop or something to happen. Gruzzers spawn in instantly. They just spawn and teleport. There's like the explosion animation, and that explosion animation is to hide the fact that they don't start in the same spot. They just appear. So you can't just frame perfect fireball or whatever to hit all of them. They just appear. And they have a specific spread which prevents them from being on the same level for a shamanless fireball to hit them all. And so you need all the Gruzzers to more or less go down, or just stay at their same level in order to hit them all with the fireball. This is just gate wall cling storage. And then we're doing wiggles to keep our dashes midair. You'll notice I wall jump the wrong way. That's because I can't wall jump the right way. I have a right-facing wall, so I will wall jump to the left. Which is fine. It's still faster to do this than it is to not. So. That was actually some RNG manip really quickly on the bench while I was waiting to get some better husk spawns. So that right there, you might be wondering, you didn't click on Shaman Stone. All menuing in this game is FPS dependent. So, the main menu is FPS dependent. Charm menus, benching, all that stuff is FPS dependent. So, at 300 FPS, I hit the down button 3 times. Graphics frame dependent. So, if you have 1000 FPS, you can menu 3 times faster than someone with 300 FPS. So, typically human mashing speed means that, like, physical human limitations means you won't be losing time to this. Yeah, as Daxus said, if I say something's FPS dependent, it means the different graphics rates change it. So as long as you have, like, under at 30 hertz mashing speed, it really won't matter. Which, as far as I know, is what humans get at most. I think like 10 or 12 is average. What it does mean, though, is that sometimes you just get very unlucky and you hit it at the very, 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 very end of the graphics frame you're on, or at the very beginning after the input's already accepted, and so you lose a tiny bit of time. It's going to amount to like 0.01 across a run, because it's not going to happen often. So, we're also going to be doing something very similar for Lantern So these husks have independent activation ranges, and so I can actually RNG manip in between husks. So this one on the left is already active, and so I'm going to RNG manip to get by hitting that grass in order to get the one that's off screen to activate in the right direction. So here I dash, and I actually use inventory to cancel my dash to land on this husk in the perfect spot. And this is the fastest because the freeze frames line up perfectly. And then there, if I do a last frame pogo, I can pogo the husk and hit it without gaining any height, which is what I do. And then leaving Sly, once again, inventory, so that way I can start falling on the very edge of this hitbox. And now here, I get hit. I side slash and dash through. You can dash in between nails without losing time. And so I do this so that way I can get an up slash here. And then as I die, I fireball, which gives me Geo. Now, a special glitch occurs where because I pick up Geo on the last frame of me dying, this counter will increment until the death animation goes away. So as you can see, it looks like I have generated infinite Geo, but I don't actually get any Geo from this, sadly. So I have 3. Equip Shamans. And then we're going to get Wall Cling Storage, Wall Jump, Pogo, Dash. Now, this Blue Lake Wall Cling Storage saves 2.7 seconds over the meta strat. And it saves even more because we're doing left-right. And we're also doing the wiggles. And so between all of those things, this saves a ton of time. Now, you'll notice that there's no wiggles occurring now that we're in the liquid. And the reason for that is because it's no longer possible to wiggle. Liquid wall cling storage, or C- wall cling storage, or what happens is that it sets your dash speed to 20 no matter what, and it removes one of the wall properties. And so you actually just always will cling the wall, even if you don't hold any buttons. You can neutral dash in Blue Lake and it will always push you. So just keep that in mind, that this works differently. And because it keeps the full dash speed, it means that we don't actually save any time to doing wiggles or left-right here compared to humans. Humans actually get the same dash speed as TAS in this section because it's liquid. And the thing is, it's not because you're jumping out of liquid, it's because you touch liquid at all. So even though I've chained it out of the water, I still have liquid wall cling storage here. And so I keep it until I hit the next room. Now, you can chain wall cling, you can keep wall cling storage out of vertical transitions, going upwards for a couple of them. The resting grounds one is sadly not possible. So this is vanilla movement. And then we're going to get Cling Cling off this wall, and we're going to get it over to the Dreamer plat. Does the height you do dashes in Blue Lake during wall cling storage? So a further jump would normally be better for humans, kind of. You would think, but actually minimum is the fastest. The reason that minimum is... Actually, I'm just going to let the cutscene play. Reason minimum height jumps are the fastest is because when you jump out of water, it pushes you up and it gives you a boost. And also you can chain it properly, and so as long as you're dashing on cooldown, it's the best. However, the most important thing is that the ending lines up, which is why you'll see a lot of runners do a big jump at the beginning. It's to line them up to land on the end. So you want to do minimum jumps as much as possible, and then a big jump if you need to line up right. TAS dash is off to the left here because it's faster by a physics frame to dash left than dash right. So yeah, do that in your runs. 3.02. And so that's just Dream Dash. Now, I want to point out something about this, actually. You'll notice that I actually corner correct here, which for humans is normally slow. But what it does is it actually offsets where all my dashes are going to be compared to humans. So normally a human dashes from this platform. This is very important because it means I actually get one more dash. Because I can actually jump from here and dash to here with it like off cooldown, and then I actually have enough time to get wall cling storage immediately off the platform. And so that tiny little corner correct is optimal. And it changes all the lineups of all the dashes in this room. Chaining wall cling storage in Dream Plats is very awkward because of the topological rule of wall cling storage. We essentially can't underplat with wall cling storage if you can't do it without wall cling storage. So normally what we would do is you would get wall cling storage and you'd underplat here and wall jump up to here and get it somewhere else. However, because you can't get from this bottom platform that's off screen up to here without getting onto these platforms, it would break the rules, and so we can't do it. So we have to land on all the platforms essentially, which is really awkward. Now here, it's faster to wall jump because wall cling storage, when you're going upwards, it takes a lot of time because you're spending most of the time just jumping anyway, so you're not actually saving a lot of speed. And so getting this wall jump to get more height is better than chaining it down to here and trying to chain it all the way up, if that makes sense. This is just standard sear skip. And then, so I tried pre-jumping. I tried doing a lot of things here. This is the fastest. You want to hold left into the wall. Waking up early doesn't matter because you end up achieving the full fall speed anyway. So it doesn't matter. And then you're going to dash here and get wall cling storage off this. And you're going to chain it in the next couple rooms. So here, I was actually thinking, okay, the task sounds very loud because of all the wiggles. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to time every wiggle that actually matters to save time, because the wiggles don't save a ton. However, I immediately gave up after this room because it made the wall cling storage take about 8 times longer to do. And so it just was not worth. So I immediately just go ham and leave it. Oh yeah, let me explain that kind of wall cling storage really quickly. So this is actually a wall cling storage you can do, or TA. And it's the fastest way. So, oh my gosh. Nope. Rip. Yeah, 14. Let's see here. So you'll notice that I'm going into this transition holding a wall. And then I let go of the wall and grab this wall. If you go into a transition, while grabbing a wall, you can get wall cling storage with the transition. Now, it is initially I thought this was a frame perfect input because I couldn't buffer it. However, the window to do this is quite large, it's just not bufferable. You're able to jump a bit before you hit the ground. So the jump happens just like if you press jump earlier and it works, you did it faster than pressing it later and it working. If that makes any sense. It's not bufferable, but it's not a frame perfect jump either. And so you can do this in basically any category that shows up to here with claw. Now, the reason that it looks different for tasks is because we still actually have the right wall from the previous room. Because like we ran into this left wall, but we still have right wall because we hit the load in time. And so that's why it looks so much different. How many frames is there? It depends on the transition. For resting grounds, it is 3 physics frames. For archives, it is 4 physics frames. For King Station, it was 2 physics frames, I believe. These numbers are all just like vague memory, so don't super quote them on that because it's hard to keep track of all the transitions. But each transition has its own unique number based on subpixels. You have 3 frames to press this, yes. You have 3 frames to press this. At least from this angle. It might be different going left and turning right than right turning left because Team Cherry is known to be like that. And it could also be FPS dependent because we actually increased the FPS in this load to 300 to get the Husk Sentry to spawn. Lower FPS means that Husk Sentry doesn't activate during the load, and so the Husk can achieve a middle position. This Husk Sentry should activate during the load and go either left or right immediately, be on the far left or the far right, both of which are fine RTA for Walkling storage, but if it doesn't activate in the load, it'll be in the middle, and the middle is really bad. If it's in the middle, there's like pretty much nothing you can do. You have to lose the Walkling storage, and it's really, really annoying. Either way, TAS is going to look different than RTA because we have a right wall here. TAS can change. It's not a room-to-room basis. It's at will. TAS can just change FPS. It's in the input file. We do it in a few spots, only to mimic 300 FPS behavior. We don't go above 300 FPS, and we don't use any behavior that requires below 300, right? The whole reason that we use it is just to do less inputs. If I test the entire game at 300 FPS, I have to do 300 inputs per second. If I test the game at 100 FPS, I do 100 inputs per second, if that makes any sense. It's infinitely better, and it's also faster to render too. It takes 3 times as long to render a 300 FPS section as it does a 100 FPS section. So it's just way better to TAS at 100 FPS, and so we do it for quality of life. And so anytime that it loses time, we change it to 300, which is where we would normally do it for the time save anyway. Like this load, for instance, which should behave at 300 FPS because it's optimal. So we turn left here to get the wall clink storage, and then we have right wall. RTA, you're going to have left wall here. Left spawn is faster than right spawn. Middle spawns are bad. Doesn't matter if you get left or right. It's just bad either way. It's fastest to dash once, hit the lever. No nail turnaround, nothing special. Here you want to dash as late as possible into the gate, so that way the wall cling storage takes you all the way to the load. If you dash early, you're going to hit the ground right here, and then you're going to have to dash again after. Here, it's not fast to get wall cling storage off of either of these spots, so we just pogo the enemies. I mean, I was pogoing them before, and I figured out you could just null boost. So this one hits the lever up, which loses two frames to hit the lever, but it saves time having enough soul here, so we do it. Because then we don't have to get the hit on this enemy. Oh yeah, RTA would be fastest if you hit the ground good, if that makes sense. If you dash as you hit the ground instantly, it would be fine, right? But it's consistent to not hit the ground as fast, if that makes sense. Because if you spend even just the physics frame on the ground walking, then like it's just not worth, right? Because walking is just so miserably slow. So we don't have to get 2 slashes on this enemy, which is like really nice because it sets up for bottom row. So that movement, we wall jumped out after getting the hit. We dash back. We got 2 hits. And this sets up the enemy to immediately dash after us. so that way it can hit us out of the journal animation. This is a spot where I increase the FPS because the FPS changes knockback. And so it messes the audio up. And so City Geo is a really interesting thing, and I don't know if I got it right. I think I did, though. We only get this City Geo, and we don't get the Lever Lads or anything. So this is all the City Geo we're getting. The rest of the Geo that we're picking up on the run, the incidental Geos, we're going to be picking up some Geo in Archives and some Geo from Petra Arena. But other than that, it's pretty much the same. I love this movement. Yes, we pick up 4 Geo in Archives. We picked up 2 from the jellyfish that kills Umu, and we picked up 2 from the jellyfish we pogo. So we pick up a total of 4 Geo from Archives. And all the soul collection really adds up and matters here because we don't do the bottom route. RTA will like go down here and dash and pogo the enemies, but because we have to get wall cling storage, we need all the soul entering here because this one saves a ton of time compared to going bottom route. Here it is fastest to double this enemy instead of not doubling and getting the 2 hits, because even though we would enter Gorgeous Husk with enough for a fireball, we have to pick up the Geo on the way out, which means we can't do wall cling storage because the Geo takes too long to settle. So we do this specific Gorgeous Husk kill because it's the fastest DPS we can do. It just happens to be based on the amount of soul that we had, which was 1 hit going in there. And then based on the fact that we're not doing a double at the start, and based on Gorgeous Husk's position, we're just doing constant DPS. So this one, if you can pull this off RTA, you save 2 years. If you do that, you just save, like, it's just so much amount of time. It's just so disgusting how much you save doing that. Yeah. And then this is why getting bottom Aspire is slower per task, and getting bottom row is faster, because this wall cling storage is just better. And then not getting Lever Lads lets you do that wall cling storage, which is slightly faster. And then doing wall cling storage on the way back is nice, and then you also have enough soul going into Watcher Knights. That is cling storage, yes. It is not faster to do elevator storage here and get the wall jump. It is just fastest to dash as soon as possible and get up here. I really like this movement right here. So something interesting that happens in the dark room that you can't see. So you can't chain wall cling storage in the dark room because the platform is too far. But we're going so fast during this wall cling storage, we actually clip into the ground. We hit the corner and we clip into the geometry, and then we jump out of it. So we're actually in the floor here in just a second. This has happened a lot in tasks, not just from wall cling storage, but like nail turnarounds have consistently clipped me into geometry. It's because the game's frame interpolation is really bad. You can clip into geometry RTA like a lot, but yeah, we have wall cling storage here. Like, it's not hard. Like, that's why you've seen the memes of like the enemies just being knocked out of the map. White Palace wall cling storage can like soft lock you. It's that bad. Like, you can clip yourself into geometry with nail slash. Like, the game's only really meant to not put you into geometry with dashing and with walking. With walking, there's a specific formula. With dashing, it adds another formula, which is why if you dash towards an enemy, you can actually hit the enemy from further away than you would normally. because there's specific checks in place for those two. Wall cling storage removes that like dash check, and so you hit geometry a lot, if that makes sense. It's not faster to get wall cling storage here because it puts the enemy in a really bad spot to upslash. And we need the soul for Watcher Knights. Now here is a very interesting thing. Elevators have your physics frames. What I mean is that if you are in this spot in an elevator and a certain section below it, you run at 25 FPS. The game's physics engine starts running at 25 FPS. So your knight's position only updates half the time. And this is because the other 25 physics frames that would be happening, the game is snapping your position with the elevators. Because how elevators work is instead of the elevator pushing you, the elevator moves up and then teleports you. And so because of that, that's why elevator storage works, and that's why a lot of things like that work. But what this means for TAS is it's impossible to chain wall cling storage off an elevator floor. You can inventory drop easier on CP off of elevators, I believe. They've done a lot of things to elevators, so I can't confirm / quote. I don't know how the inventory works. It might be harder. But I'm not 100% sure. Elevators are Team Cherry's probably... It's up there for one of the worst. I'd say it's probably the worst coded mechanic outside of the knight itself. Like, the knight's basic movement mechanics are really bad. So it's actually faster to wall jump dash and then wall jump right here. Because the TAS does frame perfect wall jumps all the way up immediately after the fireball. It just lines up better. I don't know about RTA, potentially. If you can line it up immediately after the fireball, then it would be faster. So here's an actually interesting phenomenon that matters if you're doing chandelier comm subs. As I said before, up slash and down slash hitboxes are different depending on left and right. But the side slash actually has an A slash and a B slash. So the first slash has a different hitbox than /2. I'm not sure the timer on what resets A slash versus B slash, but it's a pretty short one. B slash goes further than A slash. The animation's also different as well. So I'll try my best to show it really quickly here. So pay close attention to where the knight starts their swing from. So the knight starts their swing and the nail starts behind them. If you look at like where their swing is from, so the nail is behind. And now the nail is in front of them. And if you B slash quickly enough, then the nail will start from a different spot. Now the animation gets busted because I land, so it looks like I swung again. But you'll see this B slash, you're in a completely different position. And the nail swings to a different side, and you'll see this like art's different. The hitbox is also completely different. And so whenever you're doing chandelier, you need to make sure that when you're doing the comm stop practice that you're ending with an A slash and not a B slash, because B slash goes further. So if you're trying to frame greed with a B slash, you'll hit it differently. And then this is wall cling storage across the arena. And then we wall jump to hit this trigger faster. Because it's faster than trying to chain. Okay. So I'm going to try and break down this fight as best as I can. So all those down slashes are to do RNG manip. So this fight is why Fury is slower. You cannot manip the Watchers to stack fast enough with just Fury. And it just takes way too long. So this is going to be the Watcher Knights fight. I'm going to let the whole thing play, but I'm going to explain the strategy with each knight. So the strategy with this knight is because it spawns in the middle here, the roll to a left to get a triple is actually really fast and it lines up really well. And so we're going to abuse that by getting you know, nail slashes and fireballs, roll left triple, dash over, roll right triple. However, due to the invincibility frames of this Watcher, it's actually cycle locked in a sense. Because that's the fastest possible pattern, there's only a specific number of nail swings you can get. And so you can actually do this kill RTA with the exact same number of nail swings. And so to do this specific Watcher kill, you only need 7 soul at the end of the stream now. So if you had 2 less hits of soul than TAS, you'd still be able to do the kill. So you'll see TAS doesn't do anything because TAS just can't hit the Watcher. The odds of a swing is 60%. The odds of a roll is 20%. And so the odds of 1 swing and 2 rolls by extension is it's not terribly high. It's 3/5 times 1/5 times 1/5. So it's 3 in 125. So around 2% to get this pattern. So this is a 1 in 50 pattern, essentially. And then we get wall cling, sturgeon it over to get to the right faster. And then we open inventory to do RNG manip to start off this pair. So we're starting on the right here, where RTA starts on the left. And this is for no reason. You're going to notice with the input display that there's going to be a lot of buttons that TAS presses for no reason. This is because in an alternate timeline, TAS does something very different. In an alternate timeline here, I force the Watcher to turn. And so I actually just dash right back through and start the attack on this side. But in an alternate timeline, I was starting over here. So I get 4 hits on this Watcher before dashing over, where RTA gets 3 because of some really cursed dodges. Don't go for it. You can't learn them. It's frame perfect to not get a freeze frame from hitting this Watcher. I back up here, which forces this right Watcher to stack with this Watcher. This is very important. I have lots of souls, so I'm not really losing any time, and stacking these Watchers is faster. So now that they're sufficiently stacked, I can go ahead and get all my hits of soul. I do have to lose a little bit of time to dodging, and here I get the triple on this knight. That's all that matters, because I can kill this knight so fast that there's no delay on this one spawning. So that's what we do. Now, this pair, this second pair, I actually looked at the code to figure out what the best way to do this was. But it's pretty simple. A Watcher, the Watcher Knight has, 3 attacks: the swing, the roll, and the bounce. Current patch doesn't exist, so there's no such thing as a back roll. The swing is really bad because the swing doesn't move, and we want these Watcher Knights to sit on top of each other. So we need this Watcher Knight to move. Now, a roll would be good, except the roll goes too far. And so it really only leaves us with a bounce. We have to get the Watcher Knight to bounce on top of the other Watcher. Now, thankfully, Team Cherry made this really easy to accomplish. A Watcher Knight bounces 2.4 times the distance that your Knight is standing at. Plus and minus a very small RNG offset of a total of 4 Knight units. And so what we do is we Dream Nail, we get 2 hits, and we wait over here. And the second we see this bounce, once we see this bounce happen, we dash over to here, and we go. They're also called Unity units. The Knight happens to be 1 Unity unit wide. It's a really arbitrary number, but... And so we're just, dashing across. Now this second pair was slightly suboptimal. Should have ended in a roll. But I couldn't get a roll. In order for them to both roll, it's a 1 in 25 chance, and I couldn't do any RNG manip after the bounce. Because the bounce itself is a 1 in 3 chance, and then this Knight doing a swing is a 1 in 5 chance. And so then I have to manip all the swings and stuff, and so the odds of a perfect Watcher Knights fight in total is probably less than 1 in 10,000 to get the TAS fight, as it is. for a better fight, it is probably less than 1 in 100,000. You will likely never get a fight like this in a run. This fight is it's 6 seconds faster than the Comsop fight, so it's pretty fast. So here it's faster to get wall cling storage and immediately jump up very slightly. You might notice that the TAS wall jumps sound a little different, sound a little off, kind of a little soft. The reason that it is a little soft and quiet is because the wall cling noise is never being heard. We're wall jumping before the game registers a wall cling. Full speed, no stops? Yeah, of course. So we'll play it again. No. So I think that this should be a testament to the fact that that night pattern only saves 6 seconds on the any percent Comsop. I think it should be a testament to just how optimized this fight has gotten. With perfect, or not even perfect, but like almost perfect RNG, only saving 6 seconds on a fight with so much variance and difficulty. So shoutouts to all the any percent runners who've taken the category as far as it has, because the time saved from TAS at this point has mostly been haha funny wall cling storage and just good RNG. So that dash before the elevator just lines up slightly better than landing and jumping because you can bonk the elevator. Okay, now here is a very funny phenomenon. Comsop stands for Community Sum of Best, so it's the fastest times that a human runner has ever gotten. Now, if you dash as soon as possible from this corner, it is fastest to do 3 dashes to learn by a single physics frame. If you dash any later than this point, so like if you went too high and dashed, then it's faster to do 3 dashes. If you like were too far left and dash, it's still faster. If you just dash too late, too far to the right, don't dash 3 times, just dash twice. And then Dream Nail from like right here. So we don't do anything fancy for the streamer. I just copy pasted up slashes, so. Monomon, you'll get to see a little swag for RNG Manip. So it's not faster to get wall cling storage off this corner, sadly. It just lines up better to hit the lever normally. Now, we actually immediately inventory drop, and this is going to cause the game to not update our camera, so there's going to be invisible movement. So I'm just going to explain what happens. I cancel inventory, I move to the left and barely dodge the elevator. I then go back right, and on the wall on our far right, this wall right here, I get cling cling on this wall. This saves 0.1 to the RTA inventory drop. And so yeah, that's what happens there. Now, because I have wall cling storage here, I actually get to keep this wall cling storage into this transition. And so I have wall cling storage here. Now, this jump right here, I don't know what it is, but this jump, even with the same RNG seed, the same run, everything, about 50% of the time, TAS just decides to do a wall jump off this chest. And it looks really funny because the TAS lands in the chest and then tries to dash up to the relic from here. And then afterwards, it goes back to the left and sits in the corner with inventory open for about 4 minutes. This is due to the fact that Team Cherry uses floating point for all of their variables, as far as I know. And so because of that, there's some weird flag that's not getting cleared or whatever, and so I just don't land, and so instead I do a wall jump. It's the most common desync that happens in TAS. It's really funny to watch, except for when it's actually happening. If it happens, it means the save states are also bad, which means you just have to restart the TAS from the beginning, which is very annoying, to say the least. You have to just restart because Team Cherry. And then we're going to go ahead and get Cling Cling. Inventory drop, get Cling Cling again. Get Cling Cling again. Get elevator storage, or elevator wall cling storage, and dash into this room. And so yeah, in that room, we get 5 separate instances of wall cling storage. Because we get from the transition at the start, we get Cling Cling after the relic, we inventory drop and get Cling Cling again, we go down, we get Cling Cling a 4th time, and then we get elevator wall cling storage. So there are 5 different instances of wall cling storage in that room. Compared to the RTA 0. Now this room, normally in RTA, is very boring, but for TAS it's actually really fun. We pogo that lamp so we can get high enough to get wall cling storage. And then here, it's fastest to dash and get your dash canceled and hit this lever earlier. But it's risky because, you know, if you mess it up, you have to like wall jump up here. But that's the fastest way to hit this. And then if there's this enemy over to the left from the DLC rooms, by DLC I mean the rooms that we don't go to on this patch, you can dash over and get a free hit. But for TAS it doesn't matter, because we're not going to be using any soul, because we don't do Homo Ball or collect any more Geo. Now we get elevator wall cling storage again. Now you can get it off this right wall for TAS, and the right wall would normally seem to be faster, but because this ledge exists, it's actually faster to start building your fall speed sooner. And so that's why we start further left. Homophily Fireball Airstall strategy. Yeah, that's pretty good. Now we're going to get elevator wall cling storage again. Really interesting property. So this entire room is a forced walk zone. However, wall cling storage removes the forced walk. So because of that, this wall cling storage is actually 3.5 times faster than the NMG movement. There's nothing special here, just selling relics. Is that why you slide into this room? I'm not sure what it's referred to, but you can slide into this room for wall cling storage in 106 and stuff, if you can chain it, and it's like really fast, but it's really hard to chain wall cling storage that's behind you, because it means you have to turn left usually. Oh yeah, while you slide, yeah, it's because when you're dashing, mid dash, your animation changes into the walking animation, which is why it looks like a slide. Now, this is one of the only applications of this tech. I went too far. Okay. So, wall jumps are faster than walking. And so, turning around to do, or stopping to do a wall jump would be faster than just walking right. And normally, you would think, wait, there's a lot of walls in this game. Why don't you just do that, right? Like in more spots. Well, the reason we can't do it in more spots is because when you try to dash too quickly out of a wall jump, instead of going faster, like a wall jump and a dash put together, or going one of those speeds, you instead go at walking speed. So, wall jump speed is 16, dash speed is 20, and you put them together and you get 8.3 somehow. And so because this game is spaghetti coded, you never really get to see this. But here, it just so happens to line up perfectly with the dash being off cooldown. Because you literally just perfectly get to wall jump out of this dash. So. And then we get wall cling storage off this one because it lines up better than getting it off the left. Yes. Yes. So cling wall cling storage is possible without a dash. However, it is graphics frame rate dependent if you do it without a dash. Depending on if you start it on a graphics or a physics frame, you will hit the wall again too quickly. So it really makes absolutely no sense. But yes, if you want to do it without immediately dashing, it's graphics frame dependent. And so TAS does it a lot, actually. But for RTA, that's not really consistent. And then here's more chaining wall cling storage across all of City. Now, I really like this room movement a lot. Each of the wall cling storages by themselves only saves a few frames. Put together, it looks really swag, though. And so yeah, I like that one a lot. It's really fun. Lots of like zigzagging. And because of the zigzagging, it's not as fast, but it's still faster than the NMG movement. So I mean the RTA movement. Obviously wall cling storage isn't a major glitch. So for people who run any percent, this is normally a very concerning number of geo to be at because you're 4 short. And in fact, I initially thought I was fine here because I can't math and I thought the first eval was 35 geo. You'll notice that me being unable to perform basic arithmetic functions is the #1 cause of time loss in TAS. So yeah, I ended up being very scared. And so I was like very anxious for the rest of the TAS up until I got enough geo. I was very scared. Stop. Okay. So you can actually hit this lever through the wall. And which is what TAS does. So you can hit this lever from all the way over here and it goes. So that's something you can like frame greed your times with. Obviously it's very bad if you miss, but like if you hit, yeah, it's a pretty big window. I tried it. It just takes some time getting used to because it's very different like feeling with the wall jumps because you have to wall jump really quickly for it. But it saves about 0.2. And then this is the infamous menuing. As you can see, we're very clearly on this mass shard. And then we have to wait for the game to give us control in the menu because it's a very bad game. Now we go down for 2 frames and we've selected the lantern. The way this happens is because we're at 300 FPS, we put 5 down inputs, 1 every other frame. And so that's you know, 2.5 down inputs over that span. So that's why we get all the way, or it's 2.5, 100 FPS, if that makes sense. I'm bad at explaining, but basically that means that we land on this lantern really quickly. Oh yeah, full speed the lantern? Yeah, sure. So as you can see, I very clearly clicked on it. Wall cling storage. You'll notice I didn't wiggle there. That's because wiggles cause you to stay up in the air a little bit longer. Your fall speed goes down, which is why they save a lot of time for tasks. But for here, I want to do the wall cling storage and do 1 dash, and so it's better for them to not wiggle there. This Vengefly movement is really fun. This is probably one of my favorite sections. It's tied with Beasten. I really love Beasten a lot. So this split, if you ran any percent at like any high level, you're gonna see some crazy shit. So we have wall cling storage here because we were grabbing the wall in the previous room, and so we get to keep it from the very start. And then we got cling again. So here, it's faster to actually dash to this edge and inventory drop than it is to immediately inventory drop, because it lines up better. And then you can cancel and then get this dash here. And then you can get that up slash. And then cling. And get the wall boost. So normally you would do some different movement and like underplat and do some weird stuff, but wall cling storage rules don't allow us to do any weird underplats here. So instead we're just going to do homo ball skip, which is that. So now here, these pogos on these spikes won't actually save you any time RTA, because as you'll see here, we're actually just waiting on this laser for a bit. You want to wait, if you're going to do any weird faster strats with pogos, you want to wait on this ledge. And this is because the trigger for the lasers all the way over here, they start immediately as you move off this ledge. And so we have to wait for this cycle over here. Dash Masterless Gauntlet Skip is possible with like wings and fireballs and cling storage and Krython wiggles and like some other stuff, if I remember correctly. But in terms of any useful applications, nah. And then we get cling while we're waiting for these lasers, and then we're going to chain it through the rest of the gauntlet, which lets us skip a couple cycles. And then we stop here because at that point, it's faster to just get the wall jump than it is to chain off the conveyor. And then we underplat, get cling, and then get cling again. No, the wall cling storage does not move you up. We actually can get wall cling storage off of the conveyors and low percent by just doing the regular movement. It does not actually move you up. And so we pick up Crystal Heart. At this point, we will be using Crystal Heart for rooms where it's too long to do wall cling storage. I haven't timed how much it is on flat ground, but it's just room to room dependent. But we will not be using Crystal Dash for any skips. Here, this early control is faster RTA as well from Automon, but it's really hard to do to get this early control and for it to be faster. But effectively, you don't want to try C-dashing immediately, because if you remember that thing that I said about the game giving you control on a timer, this still applies here. After a certain time of being in the transition, the game gives you control again, which is not what you want. And so you want to do this dash here instead of like pogoing this bubble or pogoing Menderbug. I was thinking about taking the time loss in the first split to break the sign. Because if I broke this sign on the first split in Vengeful Spirit, then I would be able to poke a Menderbug and potentially save some time here. However, it's not worth, because we have to wait on this timer anyway. In fact, we actually walk just a tiny bit left because the timer just starts too early. But yeah, Menderbug would have been optimal if the timer was just a little bit better, but the timer is really bad, so no Menderbug. Here, middle drop is once again faster, and you can get an up slash on a Tick if you didn't notice, or not Tick, a Crawlid, if you get good RNG. So you just dash and then up slash, and if the Crawlid's there, you get the hit. If it's not, you don't. It's whatever. No, you get it off the Crawlid, not the Tick. You get it off this one. For this room, Guanqi was the one who suggested this, and it's very cursed, but this movement indeed saves time. Where you get Cling, and then you dash over to here with wall cling storage, and then you lose it. And this is to prevent the hard fall at the bottom. Didn't know that room had Crawlids? Yeah, you don't really look. Yep, it's faster. Yeah, you contributed. And then you cancel. Now this side slash is only barely, like, not too much time save. I mean, too much time loss. It's 0.02 slower to go for this side slash, but it ends up being faster in the long run because of Soul Collection. Because we're not going to be using the Soul for Umu, but we need the Soul for Petra Arena. So we get that side slash there, and the reason that side slash is fine is because we use the recoil to actually give us Cling storage while we're waiting on dash cooldown, so it literally doesn't lose time to get that side slash. This inventory drop is one where it's really annoying that transition storage is banned, because or even just like, even if we didn't use it, it would be faster to just inventory drop sooner, but we can't, so we have to do this inventory drop instead, where we wait a bit and then we inventory drop. We narrowly dodge that platform, and then we drop through here and we cling storage. That movement is faster only, but in order to do that movement, you have to get a high jelly spawn. Getting a high jelly spawn is really annoying. So if you ever do see a high jelly spawn in RTA, you should go for that C dash immediately, because it just saves time. And then we cling all the way to here. No wiggles because we want to fall. And then we're going to slide down this wall to start archives with wall cling storage. We're going right because we need to. Now, a lot of people have probably seen the jelly one shot. I'm going to play it in full speed. But the one thing I want everyone to take away is that I get 2 Geo from this jellyfish. And so that's the one shot. The Umas do 300 damage. And that happens to be Umu's exact HP. And so Umu instantly dies the second that it overlaps with the explosion. Some interesting notes is that this entry was significantly faster than my proof of concept. This is NMG because of a few reasons. One, the rule states nothing that what I do after the wall cling storage has to be possible without wall cling storage. So as long as you can get across that gap without like, it doesn't matter that the Uma's following me. But the other thing is technically possible to do with the Uma following you by double pogoing, by double juggling jellies. So a second jelly would explode down there, and then you'd pogo damage take through. And that specific skip is also the reason why it's allowed to even go through that movement NMG, because by topology rules, you're actually crossing through a platform. So, like, I can show before the one shot, and you can see that we actually go through this platform right here. This movement is not possible, NMG, without pogoing a jellyfish explosion. But by very brief, like, skin of our teeth technicalities, we're able to do this one shot. Do Archives Umas still do 300 damage on CP? I believe so? I don't think they reworked Umu 1. They reworked Uma 2. Not true? Which part did I say was not true? Oh, wait. You think you can... You think you can make... Oh my gosh, you could... Oh my gosh, you could do... You could do this. Okay, so what Guanqi's saying is you can, like, get to this wall, and then C-dash to this wall, and C-dash to this wall. Okay. No, that's not what you're saying? Okay, well, that's what I envisioned when you said you could do it, the dash under. Well, I mean, if you dash under to the right, you don't make it. Can you get from here to here? There's no way you can... Oh wait, you just need to land here. It doesn't matter. You don't have to get on this wall. You can just land. Oh, that's true. You could just land. Okay. Never mind then. Yeah, this is completely NMG. What do you mean? Don't even question it. Oh, okay. I missed the Okay, you get to see the swag pogo at the end. Okay. So for TAS, it's fastest to get this gate storage, lose it, inventory drop, and get it again. There's like actually a lot of spots where it's just faster to lose wall cling storage and get it again. So, which is super weird. It is faster to C-dash to Dreamers by 0.1. There's a 3-frame window to do it. We're doing this weird kill for RNG Manip. So, I just randomly pressed buttons and I got better RNG after leaving Monomon. So, I'm not even joking. Like, I retasked this a few times to get better RNG. Is it fastest to just walk the Coral RTA? It doesn't matter. Coral shows up at the same speed. Yo, Sid, thanks for the raid. Welcome on in. We're watching the end of the any% TAS, and I'm explaining. It's frame tight. It's not frame perfect. But yeah, so when you're going to Coral, and you go down here and you talk, there's some common misconceptions. One is that you need to be facing right. It literally doesn't matter what direction you're facing. It takes the same amount of time, as long as you're on the edge. So I was given a triangle. Rip. I've been lied to. Okay, So we inventory drop here. And now this is an improvement over the last task, because the last one I got corner wall cling storage here, but the news discovery we could just go straight down, which saves over a second. It's really nice. And then this exit's actually really swag, so I'd pay attention. Also know we get 2 Geo doing it. So I'll play that again for people who missed. So what we do is we're going to get wall cling storage. We're going to jump up to here. Get wall cling storage. Jump up to here. Get wall cling storage. Side slash this jelly. Get 2 pieces of Geo later. We used to get 2 here, but not anymore. And then this jelly is going to follow us. And we're going to sidestep it, and it's going to go up. We're going to dash, pogo, and then this jelly will come down and hit this wall, and we'll pogo off of it. And we get 2 Geo, and it's really fast. So we got 2 Geo, and we pogoed all that. So it's a really swag exit. Shout outs to Axe for helping me find it. It actually happened by complete accident. It wasn't like we just came up with the best idea ever or anything. It just happened. Like the jellyfish was in our way the first time I was tossing, and then we side slashed it, and then Axe suggested I dodge it in a certain way, and I did, and then it ended up on the end, and Axe was like, why don't you just pogo it? And then I did, and so that became the optimal exit. Saves a lot of time. The real biggest time save, though, is that in the old tasks, because I was too high here, I triggered this Lumafly cycle way early. But by optimizing this by quite a bit, I end up triggering it a lot later, so I can actually make it past, which saves a bunch of time. Oh, no. Well, I already knew it was going to happen. So for people who don't know, I did a couple splits of any percent before doing the full task. So I did like the Umu one shot and the exit, like as proof of concepts. And so I already knew I wanted to do in that room before I got here in this task. I'd already done it before once. And so when I saw that the jellyfish was too high to do it, I did the RNG manip in Modamon in order to get that jellyfish to spawn at a better height. So the reason I got that randomly was just because the jellyfish was just in my way when I was doing it the first time. So that's how I discovered it. Okay, this room sucks. There's no other word. This room just sucks. Optimally, you'd get wall cling storage and you just drop down here, but the jellyfishes don't let you. So you get this wall cling storage instead. Now here's something pretty cool. This room actually got a little bit easier for tasks to do because the wiggles actually make it easier to do this, but that's QGA with wall cling storage. And then you want to land as quickly as possible here in C-. So for any percent runners here, this is a 2311 Queen's Garden entry. So and we get that up slash here, and then we get that side slash and jump up to here. This is really important. We want full soul because we do a different Petra strat. And so we need full soul. And then you cancel, up slash, and you want to land here before dashing, and then you inventory. You don't need C-, but you need it because the rule set says you do. But we don't C- at all in archives. We C- in the first room of archives and the last room to get out. But all the acid skips are done with wall cling storage. So we end right here and we immediately fireball to get this double. The reason this is so much faster than getting a side slash cancel is because take a look at the Geo. We're able to pick up the Geo. Now here, So these Petras have RNG delays. Fun fact, it's the same as Aspen Arena, up to a 0.45. But the thing is that because by the time you get to the end of this platform, this Petra is already spawned in. And so with this Petra spawning in as well, it doesn't really matter a ton because it's already... Like, you're really just waiting on this Petra is the important thing, so that way you can get the double-double. And so this double-double saves a lot of time because you end up with full soul here. It's not too much faster than Rhino Petras, if anyone here does Rhino Petras, but it's a little bit faster only because soul collection. And then we underplat because this underplat, if you're full fall speed, is physics frame perfect. So keep that in mind before you go for it in runs. And then that's another instance where the wall jump tech is faster. Because you can only get one dash here, so it's better to get the wall jump and then dash. And then it's best to break these planks with a right slash, because down slashes don't break the planks and you need the pre-jump, and an up slash bonks you, so. Now RTA cancels really early and gets side slash up slash, but we are just going to go later and get soul elsewhere. That up slash doesn't lose time. Wall cling storage. Oh, during that part? No, it doesn't line. It doesn't line up. I timed it. And then here, wall cling. No, you can't get wall cling storage off that kind of breakable wall. Not that kind. And also you'd have to dash too. Which means that, like... So hypothetically, if you could, it delays it. No, I'm saying that you can't without dashing, is what I'm trying to say. Because you have to dash to do it, right? Which means you have to wait 12 frames until after it breaks to dash, and so you're losing 12 frames. Is what I'm saying. If you could do it, hypothetically, without dashing, it would be optimal. Sort of. The reason it wouldn't be that much more optimal is because you get a left wall jump anyway, so it's not really that good. You have to wait a frame and press C dash so that way you can flip it to a right wall, which is something you can do, by the way. Is you can press C dash and you can flip the wall you're on, so that way you can get better wall jumps. It only works sometimes though. Anyways, back to Falling Plat's room. That side slash is faster because, like, it doesn't matter because you have to get low enough to get under these platforms anyway. And so we do this, and because of this, we get a lot less soul than RTA, but it looks really cool, so. And then get the side slash on the husk, get cling cling. That right there was an instance where we did the C dash to get the wall jump in the right way. So we have a left wall here, but we need to jump to the left, so we dash, and then we're gonna press C dash. So you can actually see that we press C dash on that frame, and so that's why we stay still and we're not falling. And then we're able to wall jump up to the left. We do this a couple other places that I didn't point out. We do it during the Frog Canyon asset skip. And I'm not sure where else. Yeah, it's super weird, and it only works during left-right. If you're not holding left-right, it doesn't work. And then get that side slash. And then we get that up slash there, because it's the fastest hit you can get. Because the next spider, the spider that comes up in the rooms that are dark without lantern, pogoing that loses time. And so does side slashing it, so we don't do it. Technically, you can get kind of good RNG here and like hit the spider, but we need the wall cling storage. This room's really fun. With all the nail turnarounds and stuff. It's probably one of my favorite rooms without wall cling storage. It's up there with This room's up there with the infected Vengefly room in terms of just how clean it looks, so I'll show it again. Oh, I ended up getting the side slash on the spider. Huh. I probably lost time somewhere then. Because I remember thinking this spider wasn't side slashable with good RNG, so I probably lost a couple frames somewhere. Which, by the way, I've lost plenty of frames, so it's not a huge deal. So that's probably suboptimal. Okay. Now here's something really interesting. So there's been like a community naming of wall jumping off this as sketchy jump, and then wall jumping off this platform as sketchier jump. Sketchier jump saves time RTA, but the fastest per task is actually sketchy jump, which loses time for RTA because you can do the wall jump just like insanely fast. Those trans dashes, it really doesn't matter when you press jump, because you have the same right speed anyway, so. Beast Den is really fun. I'm gonna try to explain some big brain stuff that you can use RTA in your runs here in a second. So we're gonna neutral dash to get wall cling storage here. Okay, let me explain. Devouts essentially have two hitboxes. They have their like sight range hitbox and their melee I could beat you up right now hitbox. And then they also go through a wake up time. Effectively, for RTA, you want it to go through its wake up time, and then you want to be inside of its looking at you range, but not inside of its I can swing at you range, and you want to be like doing one fireball there. And the reason is because when you're in its I'm looking at you range, it counts towards its timer for attacking, essentially. This is a really overly simplified version, but essentially if you're inside this hitbox, it counts towards the attack timer while you're fireballing. But if you're inside this hitbox and you're fireballing, it can hit you during the fireball, so it's very bad. But if you're inside this hitbox, it just walks at you. And so it's not bad. Get 35 Geo with that pogo. And then C-dash here. I love these wall jumps. I just want to emphasize the devout kill and the wall jumps again. In case anyone's missed the devout kill. So something very different about it that's easy to miss is that when you do RTA, you do two swings, you dash, you do two swings, and you fireball. Notice that the TAS damage tanks so early that you can get a swing before the devout swings. And get no freeze frames. So we're actually getting 3 swings in the time RTA gets 2 because of how fast we can react, quote unquote, to the devout opening. The reaction speed for most people is so long that you lose a side slash. And so because of that, we can spend time during our iframes to nail cancel, and it's essentially a whole 0.42 faster than the RTA tank. And then these wall jumps are just amazing. It's faster to side slash the spiders if you can, because pogo speed is really bad. Now this is super awkward. It's a lot better lining up leaving Beast Den than it is entering, but you need to get over this devout with a dash. And you're just so far to the left that it's better to get wall cling storage again off this corner, and so it looks really awkward. And then we get our fireballs and get an instant swing. And we dash over to Hera. It's faster to dash rather than C-dash, only because even though the devout walked that far left, because we're able to get the Geo that way. So we now have enough Geo, and we're all good to go. This was heavily carried by the 10 Geo we got from Petras. We missed a lot on the second bout, so we would have been fine even without it, but we would have had to get every piece of Geo from that last bout. And so we're able to save time by getting it in Petra Arena. So in my eyes, I just see this task as being suboptimal by 2 Geo, but it's not the end of the world. I'll talk more about suboptimal stuff in a second, and like my philosophy on perfect tasks and all that at some point, but for now, you can just watch the exit, which is really cool as well. Lines up a lot better out of the X's, you can see, but out of the entrance, it's really slow. We have to inventory there to cancel our dash because everything lines up bad. And then that's just Instabel. Pretty standard. It's slower to wall cling storage in the stag station. I did time it. Sad day. And then once again, here it's going to be early control. But unlike the other two early controls, we're not going to be getting a nail turnaround. And the reason is, one, it loses a physics frame to turn in the transition above. And two, turning here loses time because you're losing the fall speed. And three, it's actually about falling here and not about going the right direction. And I'll show you why. Because you need to be able to get under the slip to dash and pogo this blob in the background. Like that. You can do that. Dash, blob, pogo, RTA, but... yeah, good luck. Okay, here's the single biggest time loss of the task is in this room. Who's ready to see the biggest time loss for tasks? Oh wait, no, it's not in this room. It's in the room after. This is the single biggest time loss for tasks. Yeah, I just fucking don't release C-Dash. Like, I just can't count. And I didn't notice this until I encoded. Like, I finished the task, released the time, encoded the entire thing, watched it back, and saw this. And so I'm gonna explain my philosophy on time loss right now. The task tools are not in a state where it is efficient or effective for me to be able to spend all my time getting perfect RNG. And if I redo this C-Dash, I have to redo the entire THK fight. And so my philosophy with that kind of stuff has been, I go as fast as possible within the amount of time constraint that I can do mentally, right? Because spending 40 hours doing RNG manip in a room is just not fun. It's not good for my mental health. And the tools aren't designed for it. So when we get better tools, we'll come back here and we'll fix this. But for now, the task is going to have this in it. So, yeah. Enjoy the 1 second time loss to C-Dash. So I'm going to pause, explain the THK fight and the chains. And I'm just going to let the THK fight play out with no pausing. Because I actually watched this THK fight back after I finished the task. Like, the task was all done. I finished the encode. It took, like, 8 hours to get the encode done. And, like, I watched it back, and, like, not gonna lie, like, few tears came to my eye. I wasn't, like, sobbing or anything. It wasn't, like, a huge PB. But this task has, like, meant a lot to me. I put in more than I should have in the last 2 weeks. More of my time than I reasonably should have. I worked like a machine. And it just means so much to me to be able to task this video game, because I initially got into the HK community not to speedrun, but to task. Like, that's all I wanted to do when I first started, was task. And the fact that the tools have been made to task this game when I was initially told this game will literally never be taskable. It's just not possible. It won't happen. It means so much. And so I want to thank everyone who's been working on it. You know, Sima and Calais and Callist and Demo, who helped with the tool and everything, and all the cool people, and Cuber and Zippy for helping with like some of the strats and stuff, and all the people who've been like popping in on the streams and helping, because it means a lot to me. As much as like tasks can frustrate me sometimes and it can be tedious, it's what I initially wanted to do when I ran the game. I only started speedrunning because I couldn't task, if that makes any sense. But yeah, now that I've made my little speech, I'm going to go ahead and explain the THK fight and chains. Chains give freeze frames. They're hard-coded. It sets the time scale to 0. That's why your swings feel laggy, is because you have to swing 20% slower than you normally would. So, yeah, that's why it feels like shit. No other explanation. And then for the THK fight, it's pretty simple. We want to get triples, but THK decides to attack anytime we hit THK, and so sometimes based on when we can hit THK and when we can't, THK will do their dashes really early or really late, which leads to different soul collection. So it's not all lunges. Okay, it's not just lunge, 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 lunge. And we also don't do first scream skip, because first scream skip causes issues with getting the right attacks. So I'm going to go ahead and play the rest of the tasks without any commentary. So go ahead and enjoy. And now, the second saddest time loss in the run. I lost the cutscene RNG. When I first made this task, I got a 28:59:35. And when I encoded it, I got a 28:59:37. So, just remember, this game's very, very consistent. But yeah, that's the task. So I'm gonna go ahead and play in. Yeah, it's super cool. Didn't know THK triples were possible. Me neither, till Crython told me. So shout out to Crython. She's pretty cool. And if you haven't watched the Any% No main menu storage task, that's out. So super duper duper cool as well. And yeah, she was like in the Discord, hey, you can triple THK. And I'm like, oh, dang, I guess I can triple THK. So I'm gonna go ahead and shout out Sid, because I didn't do that earlier because bad streamer. So yeah, Sid's pretty cool. They run the video game. Appreciate the raid. I'm gonna go ahead and yeah, thank you for shouting out the no main menu search test, because I was gonna pull that up on Chrome and then I realized that I couldn't because this is on my display capture. So yeah, so she does the new wall cling storage, like the clingless cling, the wiggle one, and so she does a lot more of the newer stuff. And then she also does, like, you know, all the no main menu storage dupes and stuff. It's a really cool task, but it's really hard to follow if you haven't watched no main menu storage at some parts. But she also does an Umu one shot and a really cool THK fight, so. But yeah, I'm gonna be, this is gonna come out on YouTube the second that the stream's done, this video. And then I'm gonna be doing the input display, and the one with live split should be coming out within a few hours after. I'm honestly really grateful that I got the sub 29 even with the failed C dash, because if I got a 30, if I got a 29 and realized that I could have gotten a 28 with fixing that C dash, that would have been really tragic. So yeah, I recorded myself splitting the timer. It's done by seconds, so. And oh wait, oh no, I got a 3221. Gosh dang it, I guess I was slower than Pest. I have to restart now. Dang it, in-game timer. Revealing my secrets. Still beat Gwonky though. Even with loads. And then the other part about this task that's really important. We unlock Steel Soul. Yo. There you go. So yeah, that's literally lost the in-game timer. Steel Soul any percent? I'd probably do low percent before I did Steel Soul. But yeah, that's probably gonna do it for me. But before everyone leaves, I do have an announcement. So I'm not gonna be tassing for a little bit because I want to take a break, do 106 and true ending and stuff. But when I do return, I'm gonna be holding a poll once I make it soon on what category I'm tassing next. So if you're interested in all skills, low percent, or true ending, you can vote. I already think I know which one's gonna win, but just in case I'm wrong, there's gonna be a vote. So, and I'll do whatever it is. And it's gonna be on 1221. I'm not doing current patch tasks. I want to task 106. 106 is my preference. If you want to see a 106 task, the way you can, you know, help me achieve my dreams and also see a 106 task is you help me. So, you can go ahead and download libtasks and stuff, and we can work on it together. Low percent, true ending, or all skills. So let me explain why all are really cool. No, it's not low percent. Gosh, god damn it, Gwonky. I need to ban it. But so I'll explain why all of them are really cool runs. Low percent has lots of nail turnarounds. Haha, no funny wall cling storage. Really cool boss fights. Some downsides is darkness. You're not going to be able to see shit during that, so that's going to be unfortunate because YouTube compresses it so bad that, like, it's completely dark. And then, but yeah, the rest of it's going to be pretty cool. The only category that's going to fight Umu properly, because we can't one-shot. Or I might be able to try and find a way to one-shot with only Sea Dash or only Jellyfish Pogo, but it'd be really cursed. All skills for a light mode mod, yeah, I'd have to look into it to figure it out. All skills is really cool because of Cyclone drops. There's not a lot of boss fight RNG, and so it would come out faster than a true ending one. And also, because there's like a lot more movement in different areas, it's pretty cool. And then Cyclone drops are just really nice. And then the thing with both true ending and all skills is because they have wings, we can use wings. Wings and TAS is really fast. And then true ending is the longest one of them. No Cyclone drops, but it's got cool boss fights. It's got Radiance. Lots of fun stuff in there. So I have a feeling that true ending is going to win, probably. Because it sounds cool, but yeah, I'm going to hold the vote. So low percent, true ending, or all skills at some point. Yeah, it has White Palace and Void Heart Climb. So there would be a new updated White Palace TAS. And it has like Radiance. It's got Lost Kin. And then movement wise, it's got just like wings in general is just really fun to fly around. Flying around in Queen's Gardens with wings is going to be amazing. Yeah, the White Palace TAS would be different because we would be doing King's Mold Skip. Which the current White Palace TAS doesn't do, and is also on current patch and does Cyclone drops. So it would be a very different TAS. And it also doesn't do half the stuff. Like, it does different stuff because it's no official shortcuts or whatever. And so it would look different. It's not going to be the same. There's been like new discoveries and stuff, and plus like walkling storage as well, because you can instant wings out of walkling storage. There's gonna be stuff with that. The thing with a 1006 White Palace TAS that's different and not as cool is that 1006 by default has instant wings, and so it's not gonna look as stark, if that makes any sense. You know, it would be cool, but it's not gonna be as cool. Because instant wings is what makes TAS just really fly. And so when RTA has it, it makes TAS very sad. Because you can't walkling storage. Or like, you're not getting the movement from walkling storage when you're going up. So it really cuts down in a lot